So I'm Tim Bevel. I'm the current acting director of the Office of Nuclear Reactor Deployment in the Office of Nuclear Energy. Today I was going to talk about a new NEUP topic, RC-10, Small Modular Reactor Technology Development and Support for Deployment. So this topic and the activities that will be funded underneath it will be under the Advanced SMR R&D subprogram in the Reactor Concepts R&D budget line. For those that know anything about the DOE-NE budget, this is the first year that this topic has been included in the NEUP call. The topic will include 3 scopes addressing areas we think are probably more appropriate for the universities, which are SMR technology and capability development, market analyses, and also economic analyses. So since the beginning of the SMR programs in DOE, they've been defined as reactor units that are 300 megawatts or less, have major components or modules fabricated in a factory environment, and those parts and components shipped to the site of use or construction by rail, truck, barge, or whatever. DOE has been investing in SMR technologies for the past 7 or 8 years, and we've had a couple of different programs. Previous one was SMR licensing technical support, and the current program under which we're funding this work is the Advanced SMR R&D program. We'll talk about in a minute. And these are industry-focused programs and have cost share requirements for our partners. Under this case, we're not going to have the cost share. It's going to be NEUP grants. We believe that SMRs have the potential to provide clean, reliable, and resilient energy options. Several of the benefits that we see are improved safety and plants that can operate safely without operator interaction, be able to shut down, don't require offsite power, such as the NuScale unit that recently had the NRC agree that they don't need a Class 1E power coming from offsite. Should have greater affordability, smaller, simplified designs, fewer components, less capital costs. So we expect them to be less expensive than the large units, clearly. Also are good candidates to replace retiring coal plants, other fossil plants. They're right-sized. Some of the market analysis should address those types of things. We also see an importance to national security, as these plants are designed to have additional non-proliferation capabilities or concerns built into them. A fleet level deployment of SMRs would certainly have an impact on domestic manufacturing, growth of jobs, and also growth of supply chain capability here in the US. So the program under which we're going to support this, Advanced SMR R&D, we initiated in 2019. The program specifically supports the NE, one of the NE goals, which is to develop an advanced reactor pipeline. Our FY19 budget was $100 million. Our FY20 request, unfortunately, was $10 million, but we did get a House mark recently that was at $100 million level. We expect to see that again this year. And through this program, we have been able to support a number of industry-focused programs, anywhere from conceptual designs on SMRs all the way through more mature technology development. So we really have a lot of flexibility in what we can support within the SMR framework. So just some of the things that we've been doing under the program to date. There's been a number of industry initiatives involving plant designers, research entities, supply chain vendors in the areas of new designs like NuScale, licensing activities where we're looking at ways to research and development that could support the minimization of emergency planning zones, supportive operation and maintenance capabilities, some things like advanced manufacturing capabilities that could be important to decreasing the cost and improving schedules for mass production of SMR parts, and also supply chain developers and capabilities that would support additional suppliers. So these are all cost shared to some extent, anywhere from 80-20% to 50-50, depending on the maturity level. So as mentioned, this is the first year that we're supporting any UP call. So just getting into the scopes, just wanted to start with that these scopes should be considered in the context of the unique characteristics of SMRs. So if you're thinking about coming in with some kind of application, we want you to look at things like, whether it supports multiple unit plants or distributed generation scenarios, underground siting, simplified designs with fewer components and what, the meaning of that, compact building layouts, and even smaller site footprints. So the first scope, I also wanted to mention that the bullet list that you'll see in these scopes, they offer just some examples of areas where we have interest, and it's certainly not limited to those areas. But if you stayed within these kind of bullet listed items, that would probably, you're safe that this would be an acceptable proposal. So the first scope, Rc-10.1, technologies to support SMR development and commercialization. We're seeking to develop technologies, capabilities, and methodologies specific to the characteristics of SMRs, as I mentioned, and things that would help to improve deployment potential. So as I mentioned, things that are in the following list, but not limited to: remote or autonomous operation, control room improvements, so things that would support operation of multiple units, compact, high efficiency heat exchanger steam generators that would fit into smaller, more compact frameworks, designs, improved penetration technologies for when you have to penetrate primary systems with cabling, wiring, or other piping systems. Online power monitoring is a good one. And I also mentioned ability to conduct material accountability for advanced fuel designs like pebble bed designs. And the overall scope is technology neutral, meaning we'll accept any kind of SMR technology, but your application should at least reference some kind of existing design or concept, and that goes for all of the scopes. Second scope, market analyses. We're looking for someone to look at analyzing potential markets and applications. These proposals are sought to perform analyses on these types of topics: feasibility of siting in remote or populated areas, examining markets that are actually have a lot of coal or fossil fuel being shut down at this time. Evaluation of capabilities to provide increased resilience. If there's any kind of particular value that SMRs are bringing to a certain grid, maybe a remote or isolated grid, we'd like to know about that. And I also wanted to mention for this, we probably should have included examination of non-electric output of SMRs like steam heat or use of steam for industrial use. So that can certainly be part of it. We can update the scope later, but that would certainly be something we'd accept under this. And again, they should incorporate information consistent with current designs, avoid duplication of things that DOE's already done out there. And we do have a number of studies that we've commissioned or even supported in the past. So please look around and see what's out there to make sure you're not duplicating any existing effort. Third scope, economic analyses, looking for anything that you may have that could reduce either technology specific or capabilities, components, whatever, that might reduce levelized cost of electricity in any of the various stages of development, fabrication, construction, operation, decommissioning. Also look at policies and initiatives and even potential financing structures where you could possibly apply these types of attributes to reduce levelized cost of electricity of SMRs. So the bullet list is just some ideas on things that we've thought about in the past, but could always use better ideas. Fabrication and construction improvements, so mass production, anything you can do to improve capability to bring the cost down. Supply chain development, moving parts around the country or or developing certain capabilities here in the US, transportation methodologies, even ways that we decommission at the end could be involved in the potential, lowering of the overall levelized cost of electricity. Also consider financing structures and state and federal type of policies that might impact LCOE. Again, should be consistent with the capabilities of current designs, and look around and take a look at the economic studies that we've done in the past and try to avoid duplication. So those are the three scopes. I'll take any questions.
We'll hold here with Tim for the next few minutes to take any questions. Please do input those in the question box on the GoToWebinar application if you have them. Tim, what would be your suggestions on how universities collaborate with existing SMR designs from industry?
I'm aware that several of the organizations have research and development organizations within their structure. NewScale, for example, has outreach programs for universities. I'm sure that contacting the the headquarters of those groups directly, who are the designers directly, whoever they are, there's probably someone there you can talk to, and it would make a lot of sense to try that.
Are the market and economic analyses focused on the US or global?
I think the answer is either, as long as we're looking at ways to improve the marketability and eventual sale of a domestic product, either domestically or internationally. I think that either is acceptable. And maybe that's a note that we need to take to update the scope.
Do you know how many proposals might be funded in this area?
I do not, and I would say that I'd say that we probably have the ability to fund 1 to 2 each in the market and economic areas. I couldn't say on the capability development because that may be a higher dollar value.
We'll stay here with Tim for about 15 to 20 more seconds to take any additional questions. Would you be interested in scientific measurements of thermal expansions of ceramic linings for heat exchangers?
Yes.
Does this scope support new SMR conceptual designs?
Right now, I can't say that it does, but I think if that person were to do the research internally, I think they would. I think if at a component level, if someone were to propose to do ceramic lined heat exchangers, that's a potential use for one of the existing vendors. So I think that you're in an area where you could make that proposal. It wouldn't hurt to talk to the vendors and see if they had any particular interest in this, and if they did, that would be helpful to the proposal or the application.
And if it was an entirely new SMR conceptual design?
I don't think that we're trying to get into, in this, at least this round and maybe next year, I don't think we're going to try to get into funding research on entirely new design, as that's a pretty large chunk to bite off for a university right now. Why don't we take that under consideration as a potential scope to add next year?
Would conducting a comprehensive life cycle analysis of SMRs that would consider new generations of construction materials for reducing maintenance costs and accelerated construction methods be of interest in the economic analysis area?
I think so, in the right context.
Okay, thank you, Tim. We appreciate you being here. This does conclude the 3-day session, the 3-day FY 2020 CINR webinar. We will remind everyone that these presentations will be made available publicly on nup.gov along with the video webinar presentations, most likely in the next 7 to 10 days. We do plan on releasing the FOA sometime in the next few weeks, pending final approvals. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time. Thanks.